What's up, nerds? Today I'm going to talk about RAM, or random access memory. What RAM is it's basically flash storage. So instead of something like a hard drive, like an external or internal hard drive, or an SSD, which stores information permanently, not necessarily permanently, but it writes it onto a disk so that it can be held. Those are more like batteries. You can think of RAM more like a capacitor. It holds a charge until it's needed, then discharges all of it. As where a battery holds something until it's needed, and then even if it's only used for a second, still has more charge. So it holds onto the data for future use instead of short-term use. This allows easier computing with the CPU. It doesn't make any computing faster with the CPU, and no computing happens in here, but it makes it easier for the CPU to access singular data it needs. This is a piece of DDR2 RAM. It's got 1 gigabyte, which is insane to think about, because DDR5 we're used to like 16, 32, or 8 gigabytes, and DDR4 is about the same. And it's got a cache latency of 4, which is insanely low. Like 36 is something you'd be more used to with DDR5, and I believe 30 with DDR4. So it's just interesting to see how much we've evolved from this, which was only, what, I think 1998 was the time this started being phased out with DDR3 more. Actually, no, I think that was like early 2000s. My bad. Might be wrong on that point, so anybody please feel free to correct me in the comments. And this is a stick of DRAM. It's relatively similar, except it is it's a lot smaller, and it's an older form factor of RAM. RAM like this, DDR RAM, actually is DDR 2.0, which is smaller. It's about half the size, a little bit taller, and doesn't have casings on it in the same way that DDR5 does. It still has casings, but different. And I actually like the form factor more on those. I think they should definitely be put into more production, and they should be made more prominent. This is a stick of DRAM, though, and it has 4 megabytes of RAM. That's insanely low. 4 megabytes, 1 gigabyte, but the stuff that's in, like, you or I's PC, if it's relatively recent, mine currently is running 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM at